So thanks everyone for coming out. This is my first time actually being to a 1 million cups. I'm usually busy working. So a little bit about me. I recently moved here from Oregon. I had lived here prior, but while I was in Oregon, I started a co-working space, a small accelerator, and this company that I'm about to discuss. So what we do is we help companies raise capital using equity crowdfunding regulation. We started small and we've just been growing our way up bootstrapping for the past 2 years, and we're starting to hit some serious momentum and scaling, which is really exciting. So we work with growth stage companies, real estate sponsors, investment funds, and we work with broker-dealers on syndications. The type of clients that we work with are raising a minimum of $3 million and have at least $1 million in annual revenue. The reason being is because it's not cheap to raise money online. Using the specific systems that we use, people really need to be raising a certain amount in order to justify the cost of running the types of campaigns that we run. So we can't work with startups. We have tried in the past, but it's just very difficult with the budgets that they have to run an effective campaign. It requires the founders to be involved throughout the entire process, whereas our clients typically just hand it off to us and we just send them leads. So when we're working with the real estate company, we start off with investor targeting. We have a 40-something unit residential complex in Miami, Florida that we're working on coming up. And so how we would start with that is identifying active real estate investors that have invested in real estate in the past 18 months. They are accredited, and we kind of segment them out by radius of the property. If there's any sort of special interest that real estate project aligns with, then we will target people based on that. So we were discussing a mobile home park also in Florida. So that would be a special interest, and it would create a unique set of potential investors that we would go after. People who have motorhomes or people who like that lifestyle. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to real estate and how we can target people. With growth stage companies, targeting is a lot different. So we want to start by finding a lead investor, or maybe a couple. So we would go out and research active investors in whatever this company's space is. So let's say it's a biotech company. We would find all of the investments from the past 5 years, who led those investments, which person on that team was responsible for making that investment decision. And it's very hand research, and we get about 150 to 300 of those people, and we reach out to them one-on-one. Then we kind of expand the scope out, and we go for industry investors. Anyone who has expressed interest in investing into that industry ends up on our list. And then we go a step farther, and we really, the industry investors, we gather about 20 or 30,000. Then we go farther and we find all of our clients' competitors, and we identify all of their social media followers. Then we reference that with about 400 different data points to determine, are they capable of investing in this company? Would they likely be interested? And then we reference that against our 1.4 billion email opt-in list to make sure that we're not violating CAN-SPAM. So we end up with about 100,000 potential investors off that list. So we start with finding a lead investor, and then we reach out to industry investors, and then we expand it farther, and we reach out to people who might be willing to just throw in 50 or 75,000. So that's a little bit about our targeting, and it just keeps going. These strategies get very in-depth. So then we go into content creation, and we create a suite of content that accurately represents the customer's offer. Anything that you see up here, we do, and a whole lot more, but that's all I could fit on a slide. Yeah, content is key. It has to be professional, it has to it has to look like it cost way more than it did for people to contribute $100,000 to $1 million. And we also build compliant investment platforms specific to the client. It's built as an extension of their existing website. It has their brand. It has investment capabilities on the site itself, and it's set up to display anything that a potential investor would need to see in order to determine whether or not they want to contact the client. So then comes the fun part, which is actually recruiting these people and getting them, exposing our client's brand and offering to them. So we run a multi-tier approach, and we make sure that the people that we're trying to reach out to see us everywhere they go. So we land in their inbox, we invite them to events or webinars, we use programmatic advertising, which is really cool. I'm not going to explain programmatic advertising because we don't have much time. We actually automate LinkedIn, and so I can upload a list of 30,000 people and say, on day 3 of the campaign, I want you to view this profile. On day 7 of the campaign, I want you to send them a message. On day 10 of the campaign, invite them to be a contact, and so that just gets automated. And we manage social media when it's appropriate. It's not always appropriate, but sometimes a company will need an active social presence in order for people to be interested. And we set in place a series of management systems, such as a CRM, so that our client can follow up with the lead, track them, make sure that they're touching them at the right times and the right stages. Our mail servers, we have some guys out of Costa Rica that are incredible with this. And we can send up to 10,000 emails a day per client with the systems that they've set up. Not like we'd send that many, but we send about 800 per day per client. We actually have call services as well that allow, when someone submits a form, they just automatically get called, and that lead gets pre-qualified so that our customer is only dealing with people that are capable, willing, and qualified. We have a whole bunch of lead automation features that just manage the entire pipeline. We spend a lot of time setting this up, and so it just runs itself. And a couple other things, I don't need to get into every little detail, but at any stage during the campaign, the client can always log into their special section of our website and see exactly how their campaign is performing, and every step of everything is right there. That's pretty much it. I was told to keep it short, so.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stay up there. So now we're going to take some questions. So just raise your hand. We usually do 2 microphones, but so we only have 1. So please raise your hand and then just yell your questions so Esteban can answer them. Dave, you start.
Hi, great talk. Great that it was short too. And congratulations on bringing this to town. I like the fact that you have testimonials on your website, so you got real customers. What made you decide to move to St. Louis?
Well, I'm originally from here. I have family here, and so I sold my co-working space, and I just wanted to get out of Oregon. So I was like, I'm going to come back and visit my family for a little bit, and that's why I'm here.
Great, thanks.
It seems a lot like a broker service. I mean, I guess you are a broker technically. Is it Regulation A that makes you able to do what you're doing for the investment side? It's like a broker service, and then Regulation A makes you able to go out and advertise and actually sell shares of security. Is that right?
Right. So there are several what's called exemptions to registration of securities.
Okay. Yeah.
So Regulation A plus is one of those. We typically operate on what's called Regulation D 506C, and it goes deeper and deeper. But our attorneys assist the client in making sure that their offering is set up appropriately to where they can run this type of campaign. Because this is new. You couldn't used to always do things this way. So yeah, we have to go through a great deal of legal work with the client to make sure that everything is set up appropriately. And our attorney is phenomenal.
Yeah, that was my next question, just to follow up real quick. Yeah, can you tell us about your attorney and what that relationship's like? I mean, how did you find this person to help you? Do you use the same one or a firm?
Well, he found us.
Okay.
It's a person, and he's part of our team. So he works on all our deals. He was representing one of our clients, and he liked what we were doing, and he said, "I've been looking for something just like this," and so now he's part of the team.
Nice.
Better call Saul.
I have a few questions. First off, how do you didn't speak very much about how you do find your clients, other than, and what kind of clients are you looking for? Yeah, just start there.
Well, fortunately, we've never had to look for clients. You know as well as I do that we're in the right business of helping people find money, and everyone wants money. So when the word gets out, they tend to just come to you, and we did all of the qualification ourselves, and then we brought on basically a sales guy, and he's phenomenal, and he has an incredible amount of experience in this industry. So he knows the good deals from the not so good deals, and we basically just listen to him.
So what clients are you looking for? So that if you have too much, how do you winnow it down?
So we want clients with good numbers. We want a balance of growth stage companies and real estate. I love real estate, it's easy, it's just numbers, and investors get that. So I'm looking for deals that are easy to sell because we want successes under our belt. And in this kind of business, your success is key. If you can't perform for your clients, then no one's going to come to you.
Can you talk a little bit further about your team? Who is on your team?
Yeah.
What kind of people? How many people? What's the upscaling look like?
Yeah, so we're 4 people. We're in Seattle, St. Louis, Portland, and New York. Just one person in each place. So my original business partner, Kevin, he was responsible for marketing, setting up the marketing systems, and doing the business development and sales. I am responsible for operations and technology. And we're recently partnering with another two gentlemen. One is taking over the sales role, and one is bringing legal in-house. So we no longer have to refer out for legal. We technically only do legal consulting. We don't actually represent the client, but we can work with their attorneys and their CEO or whoever's responsible for the offering to make sure that all of the considerations are met, and their legal team is equipped. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and are you, I guess as you move forward through the future, are you looking to take, how many more people are you looking to take on? Have you guys started thinking about that? Or?
Yes. So the first thing that we need to do is recruit a solid technology team. I've been able to do just fine with our technology requirements up until this point, and we're doing fine, but I'm not a full stack developer, I'm not an engineer. I just kind of figured it out. And so now we're looking for someone who would be interested in kind of a CTO role that is willing to start as a contractor, just taking contract work and building the infrastructure, and then move up into more of a leadership role where we can place a development team under that person and they can manage them. And then after that, we're kind of seeing a need from our clients to actually bring on brokers and agents that will sell the opportunity. So when we're getting into 8- and 9-figure deals, the client typically wants the security sold on their behalf. So that is kind of holding us back from getting to the larger deals. Yes?
You sound pretty excited about programming advertisement. So could you go a little bit in depth on that, and how has it been, what's its effectiveness on acquiring clients?
Great. So programmatic advertising is different from traditional digital advertising in the sense that basically it's a program that I give a budget and a list, and it determines, okay, so let's say the list is a bunch of people, right? And it has an email address associated with all of those people, all of those records. So when someone logs into, Facebook, for example, with that email address, the system will recognize this person corresponds to that person on my list. It captures their IP address, and then my ads basically follow them around the internet. So instead of just blasting Facebook and LinkedIn, they see my ads on Forbes and journals that they're reading that have advertising slots.
And you individually target them, so it's way simpler to just get people directly instead of just
Yes, absolutely.
attacking individual people.
And I no longer have to run Facebook campaigns, Facebook advertising campaigns, LinkedIn campaigns,
Saves you a ton of money.
a ton of money. So we have a minimum advertising budget that we operate by. And so we've been able to drop that, for example, from like $4,500 a month to about $1,500 a month and achieve the same results. So I'm always looking for ways to save on upfront cost for the client, because that is the biggest barrier to entry for these clients. When I say, oh, it's going to cost 120 grand or it's going to cost 75, that's a big difference for them.
Kind of on that same topic, the lists that you're using, how do you acquire those initially for the potential? I mean, I'm assuming they're all accredited investors. So yeah, how do you find out they're accredited investors? And then on the actual marketing advertising side, you've built a lot in-house, it seems, but also it seems like you might have a suite of packages that you're kind of paying third-party services for. How do you integrate that? You're the tech guy. How do you integrate that, and how do you keep track through your CRM to make sure everybody's kind of getting the most touches?
Okay, great. So I'll start with data and then move into systems. So data is our largest consideration with running this company. How do we get the data? Where does it come from? And how cost effective is it? So I can't really say where we get the data because that's kind of our secret sauce. Because any lead generation company could do what I showed on the screen. So it comes from a wide variety of sources. And some of them are third parties, some are direct data sources, but these third party sources basically pull data from about 400 different places as well. So it's hard to explain, I guess, but I mean, we contract with about 10 different data providers, and then we use systems to merge that data and create a full profile of each contact, depending on where they fell in that triangle, right? The higher up on the triangle they are, the more data points we want on them. The lower down, we basically just need to know, are they someone that we want to put on the list, and how do we reach them? What's their name? So yeah, data is what I spend most of my day working on, honestly. Systems, so you're correct, we use a lot of different third parties, and we've spent the last 2 years finding the right third parties, and you wouldn't believe how difficult that is. Enough about that, but so a lot of these things have native integrations with each other, but basically imagine just a giant web, and so we tie strings from each service provider to the next through a pretty complicated system. Zapier is my best friend, but that's another thing that we need a CTO for, or someone with real development capabilities, is to create a hub, a custom hub that integrates with all of these different APIs. So I intend to build a dashboard for my own use that I can just run all of these third parties on my website instead of having to go to their website. So we're currently interviewing for that.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
All right. So you're doing this under Regulation B, which is surprising. I just assumed it would be Regulation A. And so for people that don't know, Regulation D, Reg D is accredited investors, which are basically people who have more than $1 million. So when it comes down to Regulation A, there are no really real income or wealth qualifications, which is where Dave does a lot of that. Could you speak, because I know when you deal with Reg D, there's a lot of vetting you have to do to qualify as people. This is about lead generation. How do you make sure you're dealing with people who should be playing in that space?
Right. So we use a third party for accreditation verification. A former, colleague advisor when we first started a company called Verify Investor. They're really good. He's a leader in the industry. He actually recently sold his company. But they run the accreditation verification for each person. So the way that our system accepts investments is people will commit, and before that money goes into escrow, then they have to verify as an accredited investor. So anyone could spoof the system up to a point. They can just self-verify and say, I self-verify that I'm accredited, and then they can input their bank account information and make a commitment, and then Verify Investor will reach out to them and say, okay, well, send me your tax documents, or have an attorney verify, or any of the other mechanisms to do verification. And if they pass that test, then the money goes into escrow. If they don't, then the hold is released on their funds, and it's just in their bank account. Yeah.
It's a little bit into the weeds.
Yeah, so that part gets really technical, but our investment platforms are capable of doing all of this.
So that guy you were talking about is Jor Law?
Jor Law.
Yeah, J-O-R, yeah.
Yeah, he's,
I met him at a conference. Okay, so the programmatic ads, is that the same thing on your website called the retargeting?
well, programmatic advertising includes retargeting. So I'm going to be fully transparent with you. We are so busy working on our clients that our website is a little bit out of date, and our business, the systems that we use evolve, and especially as our business grows and we have more capital to deploy into higher level systems, we're constantly making changes and improving the systems that we use. And so our website doesn't always keep pace with that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Lifestyle business, you want to grow and sell, what would scaling look like?
Right, so when I first started this, I saw it as a lifestyle business and kind of a means to an end. I wanted to master the art of fundraising, and because I have things in the future that I want to do. But when we brought on these two partners, they kind of presented a newer vision for us and the means to help us get there. So they're kind of old school oil and gas guys. They've raised over $1 billion, and they have over 50 years of experience combined. And when they came on board, they were like, guys, we can take this public in 3 years. So that is on the table, and we're kind of just working towards that.
That's no lifestyle business.
No. But there are serious milestones between now and then. So we're in the process of integrating a broker-dealer into our system so that we can change the way that we charge our customers, and our revenue will increase, substantially. And that is something that must occur. We're actually working on it. Paperwork is being filed, so hopefully within a month that will be the case. And then we can actually start working on bigger deals as well. Scaling looks like, kind of what I had mentioned about your question. This is going to turn into a full technology company and a full broker-dealer. So I personally think that's the best business to be in, because they both have really good revenue multipliers when you're evaluating.
So what can we do for you?
Well, that's a great question. I'm always interested in networking and talking to people that are interested in the fundraising space or maybe needing to raise capital. I don't know many people in the St. Louis technology and startup scene, so I'm interested in finding someone who would potentially fill the CTO role. Like I mentioned, we're doing some interviews, and I think I'll be going out to Portland to meet with a guy. But that is something that would be helpful, just connections.
All right,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you very much.